Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mistakes Make Mythic. We're heading into the Spider-Man and Into the Omen Paths pre-release, which I'm really excited for. I, for one, am a huge fan of Spider-Man. Really excited to see it in the Magic universe. I know a lot of people have different opinions on it, but we're here to play Limited, and I, for one, am really digging the cards in both the in-universe and universes beyond. So just want to make this video to kind of go through how I like to approach a new set. And I may be wrong. Maybe I'm right for a few things. I'd encourage everyone to make their own opinions. There's going to be a lot of good content creators that will make their own tier lists and walkthroughs, and definitely encourage watching those. But I think it's also important to form your own opinion on these cards and how you play. I think with Edge of Eternities, clear example is everyone kind of pushing Boros to the bottom of the playing field, and then we saw the number one mythic player getting to number one with Boros. So these cards, I think, will come and go, but it's important to form your own opinion and not only have your own thoughts, but kind of compare. Agree, disagree, and this is just we'll do a full series based on each color, but a simple way of my going about it. First off, I'd like to kind of just go through, what I particularly think is the set. So, A plus. What's A plus? That's like your bombs. That's gonna really change the game for you. Swing games in your favor, potentially win you games outright. And in Edge of Eternities, that was, or a card like Ouroboros. And then as we go down, Gene Morph Mago for an A, Sunstar Chaplain A minus. So this is kind of something how I like to keep in my head of how I'm gonna compare these cards. And while this is again not completely, nothing is set in stone. These are all opinions. Feel free to disagree, agree. These are kind of what I'm basing things on, so you can kind of see where my head is at. This video is going to go over white, and as you can see, we're starting with City Pigeon, and I'll throw this up. If you want to copy it, take it, whatever, that's fine. The most important thing is just having all the cards laid out, and with this first iteration of Into the Omen Paths, it's going to look a little different, but fortunately there aren't as many cards, so it should take a little bit less time. We're going to take this kind of as an objective look, and at the end we'll kind of look at what synergies are available in each color. So taking a look at City Pigeon, it's a 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, which so you have your power, toughness, and mana cost ratio about even. It's flying, so it gives you some evasion. Particularly, it has a fantastic effect where when it leaves the battlefield, not only dies or enters, anytime it leaves, it'll create a food token. So this is going to be really good in your web flinging, or I think it's in web for Into the Omen Paths effects. If you get this out on turn 1, you attack. You can web sling on the second turn. I think that's amazing, and even if you get it out later, I think it will have some effect as a 1/1 flyer. So I'm going to give this a C plus. I think it has room to go up, and we'll see how it performs. I think a lot of people are even saying that it could potentially be one of the best commons in this set. So we have Daily Bugle Reporters or Principled Referee. It's a 4 mana, 2/3. With 2 abilities. One is to put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Right off the bat, we can maybe consider this as a 4 mana 3/4. So a little bit understated, but you get another +1/+1, so you upgrade another card, or you can even return another target creature card. So like City Pigeon or something. So I think this has decent upside. And if you're playing like a web sling deck, or if you're playing the counters modifier deck, this is gonna be pretty good. I think I'm gonna put this at a C. Kind of, you like it in your deck. It's not gonna make any big swings, and it'll help you out if you can use it. But God forbid you have no creatures. You play this, and it's a 4 mana 3/4, or a 4 mana 2/3 that gets you a 1 or 2 creature back. And it's a little bit worse in that situation. So we'll take these cards at what could they be at their best? What could they be at their worst? And that's how I will put my grade. Next card we have Selfless Police Captain, or Crime Scene Instructor in Into the Omen Paths. Oh, by the way, I'm using a GitHub comparison made by a Reddit user, I think, and I forget his name, something Lily, but shout out to him, to them for making this. I'll credit it in the details. But anyways, so Selfless Police Captain. Creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. When it leaves, put its +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Very reminiscent of that 1/1 robot in Edge of Eternities. But with new mechanics like web slinging, I think this is actually going to be quite a good card, especially as a 2-drop. Get your rate, 2 mana, 2/2, and then you can modify, you can web sling. I think this is a solid 2-drop, so I'm going to make this a C+ as well. Next card, sorry. Spectacular Tactics. That now we're getting into our combat tricks. This is +1/+1 counter on target creature, and it gains hexproof, or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. This is a fantastic card. This is going to be very reminiscent of what is it? Battle Tactics or something from Final Fantasy, where you have a lot of different options, but these two are fantastic. You can always use it on anything, and it will really shine in the late game too when you can destroy a target creature. So I'm actually going to give this a B-. I think it's going to be one of, if not White's best removal. Next card, Spiderman Webslinger, or Darval, whose web protects. Now we're kind of really getting to the web slinging, and we'll make a note at the end, but basically I also like to categorize each card into their specific characteristics if they have a special keyword, right? So this is our first blatant keyword in web or web slinging. So for 3 mana, you get a 3/3. That's it. But let's say you have City Pigeon out, and you attack turn 1, turn 2, you can web sling it and play City Pigeon again for 2 mana. So I think that is actually going to be a very impressive early game play if you can make it happen. Now 3 mana for a 3/3 base, it'll go on your curve. I think it'll work out potentially. So I'm going to give this a C. All right, Starling Aerial Ally, 5 mana for 3/4 flying. A little bit understated, of course, but you get the evasion. And then when it enters another target creature you control gains flying. So another bit of evasion. But of course, if you don't have another creature, or the other creature is too small, this is not going to do it for you. I feel like there's probably going to be better things to play on turn 5. But, give you that kind of evasion. I'm going to give this a D. It's just, I don't think it's going to be that impactful. It's going to be something that you may put in your decks and may be helpful, but I don't think it's going to be making any large moves out there or swinging anything crazy. Etsley of the Thousand Moons is the Omen Path version. Next we have Whip, or Lively Leap. Another combat trick. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains flying. If it's a spider, you gain 2 life. So very has a lot of factors that it needs to happen if you want to get its full effect with the 2 life. And a +2/+2, White always has these kind of small little bumps. So it's just something to keep in mind of when you play. But ultimately, it's going to be very situational, and I don't think it's going to make too much of an impact. May win you a trade, but that's a 1-for-1. So got to think about what else it can give you, right? So this is going to also be a D, in my opinion. We'll see. Sometimes with these sets, if it's a slower format, sometimes these do end up being a little bit better, but we'll see. All right, Web Up, Mothwing Shroud, um, Banishing Light, right? White always gets this in every single set. But it usually always happens to be very good. I don't think there's a lot of enchantment removal in this set. Edge had a few, so that was a little bit hard to deal with. But again, this is going to be another one of White's premium removals. So I'm going to actually give this a B minus because there's fewer enchantment removal in this set. Whenever it enters, of course, exile target permanent, non-land permanent, and till it leaves the battlefield. So this is going to help you deal with, other artifacts, other things that are non-creatures. So I think it has a little bit more leeway as well than Spectacular Tactics. Contender for one of White's best removal. All right, and our last common is Wild Pack Squad or Free Strider Aces. The beginning of your combat on your turn, up to one target creature gains first strike and vigilance until end of turn. Kind of like the 2/2 Kavu that give you +1 and first strike, but doesn't give the +1. So understated. Does not work that well in web. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think this is also not going to be as impactful. But it does give you the first strike, so it's not terrible. I'm going to give this one also a D. It's because of how understated it is. Now we're moving into the white uncommons. Let's start with Aunt May or Zora, Spider Fancier. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life, and if it's a spider, put a +1/+1 counter. So I know we don't play standard. I don't play standard that much, but this is looking like a great life gain synergy. However, I don't think there's that much life gain synergy in limited, so that won't be as effective. But it will help you kind of stay on board for a little bit longer, especially if you can get this out on turn 1. And if you can, and you're building something with a lot of spiders, I think you're going to have a lot of effectiveness with that. Sorry about that. Had to take a call there. But anyways, so I think Aunt May or Zora is going to be good if you can get it out early and have a lot of spider synergies. But if you take a look at the base rate, 1 mana for 0/2, that doesn't really do anything when it comes out. I think it's hard to say where this is going to be. I think for now, I'm going to give it a D+, just because you can get out early and you could potentially get it to ramp up your other creatures. But we'll see where it goes. Next card is Costume Closet. Artifact enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and you can move the artifacts around at sorcery speed. And whenever a modified creature you control leaves, put a +1/+1 counter. So I think this is actually going to be quite good, especially in the modified deck. Know that even if your creature has more than 1 +1/+1 counter on it, though, only 1 +1/+1 counter will go back onto Costume Closet. But this is a cheap card, and I think it's going to give you a lot of value. The problem then is you need creatures to enable it, so it will be a little bit situational, but I think you're going to get a lot of value from this. So I'm actually going to give this a C+. Again, not going to really swing games, but will be very effective. And I think any modifier deck will be happy to pick this up early too. Next card is Flash Thompson or Basil Cabaretti Loudmouth. Flash. Has Flash. Anyway, so when it enters, choose one or both. Tap target creature, untap target creature. This looks fantastic. This is, you get Flash, you get 2/2, good base rate, 2/2 for 2 mana, and you can do either or. So this will help you, in the late game to remove a blocker, or bring up a blocker on your side. It can prevent web slinging for your opponent. It can help you enable web slinging. I think this has a lot of upside. I think this is probably one of White's best uncommons. So I'm actually going to give this a game changing. I don't know. Let's give it. I think I'm going to give this a B, just because of how flexible it is. next card is Silver Sable, Mercenary Leader or Generous Betty Ray. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature, and when the creature attacks, target modified creature gains life. So base rate 3 for a 2/3, upgrade another creature. Not bad. You're getting 3/4 worth of stats for 3, so that's good. But again, needs another creature. Great for modifier decks. And then if you can get a +1/+1 counter on this creature, then you can use that to also gain lifelink. I think, again, it'll be great on turn 3 as long as you have another creature out. Otherwise, hopefully, hopefully you have another creature out. So I think this is going to be a solid card, though. So I'm going to give this a C+. All right. We have Sarn of the Silken Throne or Spider UK. This is looking quite good. 4 mana for a 3/4, but has web slinging 3. So if you can cast it for 3, that rate is even better. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures entered, you draw a card and gain 2 life. All these draw card effects are going to be fantastic if you can enable them. And if you can even get it once, this is going to be fantastic. Then, let's say you have like City Pigeon. You get it out for 3 on turn 4. You can play the City Pigeon and you return it to your hand, or any cheap, creature card. Then this is going to be looking really good. So MS, I think, probably giving it a B minus, just because it is a little bit more expensive than something like Flash Thompson, but I think it's going to be very good. All right, another combat trick, Sudden Strike. Destroy target attacking or blocking creature. Cheap removal. It's going to always be good. Now, it doesn't get rid of something immediately. So if they have something that's going to affect board state, then your opponent can just keep it back. So I'm going to give this a C+. All right, Archangler Skyrod or Web Shooters. Equip creature for 2, gets +1/+1 and has reach, and whenever attacks, tap target creature and opponent controlled. Seen this effect quite a bit. I don't think this is that effective. The reach part is going to be helpful, but this is 4 mana for quite little. Now, if it was, when it enters, attach it to target creature, maybe then we have a little bit different story. But I think at 4 mana, this is not unplayable, but I don't think it's good at all. So that does it for White's commons and uncommons. Usually, this kind of gives you an idea of where the color, how the color is going to perform. But of course, this set has a lot of multicolor cards, has a lot of rares and mythic cards. So it'll be very interesting to see how these cards synergize with the other cards in the set. Let's go on to White's rares and mythics, which look very good, I think. So these are a little out of order because I combined rares and mythics, but we'll just go from here. So first up is Arachne Psionic Weaver or Yera and Oski. Weaver and Guide. That is where here. So web slinging 1, that would be fantastic to cast. I'm looking at City Pigeon. I'm always going to look at City Pigeon. When this card enters, look at an opponent's hand, choose that card, choose a card type other than creature, and then spells of the chosen type cost 1 more to cast. So things like instants, sorceries, choose a card type. I guess that would also, no, because hands aren't spells. So artifacts, yeah. Okay. So, but not creature. So hopefully they have, I'm sure any opponent will have an instant or sorcery speed card. And then you get a little bit more information as well. I think if you can cast this for 1, it's going to be fantastic. For 3, it's going to be okay. I'm going to give this a... and then the extra cost, again, it doesn't change the board state. You get to see, how your opponent will remove your cards. So I think this is going to not be incredible, but I think it'll be okay. So we'll give it a C+. Again, base rate 3 mana, 3/3. So we'll look at what it's worst, right? Next is Friendly Neighborhood or Remarkable Readings. The 4 mana for enchant a land. When it enters, create 3 1/1 green citizens. Green and white, sorry. And then the land has pay 1 and tap it. Target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control until end of turn. Activate as a sorcery. This looks amazing. 4 mana. We see a lot of these cards. X mana for, X 1/1s or something, and they all end up being fantastic. And for 4 mana, even 4 mana for 3 1/1 creatures puts a lot of permanence on the board. And I would play that card. So I think this is going to be one of White's best rares. I'm going to give this a B+. All right, Origin of Spider-Man, or Most Helpful Weaver. 2 mana for a lot of effects. Create a 2/1 green spider creature token with reach. Already, I think, decent for your rate. 2 for a 2/1. Then put a +1/+1 counter on any creature you control. Becomes a legendary spider hero. Very cool. And then 3, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. So I think this is going to just be something that really puts you ahead if it stays out. And I think at its worst, you get a 2/1 with reach. So I think this is also going to be very good. I'm going to give this also a... so let's say you get, 2 mana for a 3/2. Like, right, if you can get the 2. And then, but do you really want to attack? So let's give this a... For 2 mana, it's so cheap, I think. And then, let's say you're late on board state, then you have the double strike. I'm going to give this a B+. It's going to be great for modified decks and any white deck. Next up is Rent is Due, or Confessor's Bindings. At the beginning of your end step, you may tap 2 untapped creatures and or treasures. If you do, draw a card. Otherwise, sacrifice it. So this is never going to come out turn 1. You're always going to want to play this when you have a board state. So 1 mana for tap to draw a card is not the worst. I don't think it's the best, but if this stays for more than 1 turn, which it probably will, it'll stay. But then you effectively diminish your board state. I think it'll be interesting to see how White can create the board state. If it can create it very well. Let's say you combine this with Friendly Neighborhood or Remarkable Readings. Sure. And I think there are a few cards that create treasure tokens in this set, which is good. Sometimes you get cards that don't have any synergy at all for some random reason. So this is going to be tough. I think this is a C. It's okay, but, well, if you play this late, I guess if you play it late, it's really going to bring it up, huh? That's tough. I think this is like a C plus B minus. And then if White does end up building the board state very well, this could potentially be something like, B plus or even an A. So we'll keep this here. Again, this is preliminary. We got to play with the cards first. And it's fine to change your opinion. That's how these things go. So, we will compare later. We'll see how other people think of these cards. And that also gives us an idea of, how I like to think about things. And how you, if you want to also compare and change your opinion from here, can also help you be a better player. So, again, the ethos of this channel. Next card, this is going to be one of the chase cards. If you do like the actual playing cards, I do. So I'm going to be chasing for one of these. It's Spectacular Spider-Man, or a Demi of the Silk Chutes. 2 mana for a 3/2. Flash, so already above rate. And then for just 1 mana, you can either gain flying or sacrifice it. Creatures you control gain hexproof and indestructible. So this is going to be amazing. Not only for turn 2 or 3, you can get a flyer in, a hit. You can pay out your web sling, and then at late game, you can sacrifice it to make all your creatures indestructible. I think this is going to be one of White's best. Excuse me. White's best cards. So I'm going to give this to change the game. think it is better than these cards. So I'm actually going to give this an A minus. And see, next card is With Great Power, or Chosen by Valgavoth. Enchant creature you control. That creature gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment. And then all damage that you would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature. This looks great in a Voltron deck. But again, these kind of synergies are very hard to pull off in limited. So let's take it at its worst. 4 mana for +2/+2. And if, but potentially can really hold off any damage to your life in the early game. So if you have a 2/2 creature that's a 4/4, anything lower than that, you'll basically be null damage, as that damage just goes to the creature instead. I don't think this is going to be very good. Are there even any other auras? There's some equipments, but maybe an aura or two. I think this, for 4 mana especially, I don't think this is going to be very good. I think I'm going to give this a D+. And again, when you attach an aura or equipment, right, especially auras to creatures, removal or trades are effectively 2-for-1s that benefit your opponent. So that's the hard part about these cards, that you buff up one thing, they remove it, you're down. So, all right, on to the last couple cards here. We have Anti-Venom, the Horrifying Healer. The alt art of this card looks sick. It's is it Agent Venom or something, or Agent Anti-Venom? I don't know. The white card looks fantastic. 5 white, so very reminiscent of that one 5 black card in Final Fantasy. All right, when this card enters, if it was cast, to return target creature from a graveyard to the battlefield. Insane. And for 5/5 with that, just that effect, I think that's already a game changer. If damage would be dealt to Varilax, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters. So this is game ending if your opponent does not have a response. The problem then becomes the mana cost, right? 5 white mana. I think if you pick this card, you just go full on white. It depends. This set is going to be interesting because it's introducing pick 2, where I think it's going to be easier to go monocolor, but harder to enact synergies. So if you have a card like this, where you can potentially get this out on turn 5, then your deck is going to be kind of unstoppable if they don't have removal. And then you can build around it, I guess. So I know some people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm actually going to give this an A. Knowing that pick 2 draft is going to be different than regular limited. Yeah, it's fun, right? These cards are fun. This may be a D or an F, but I think it's going to be incredible, especially just, the return target creature card. Let's say you have, you're playing 2 colors, right? You play this card on turn 8 or 9, you're going to have a good creature card in your graveyard. And even just with that, that's going to be incredible. So I think this card is going to be really good. And last but not least is Peter Parker, aka Surus, Spider Silk Innovator. So this is almost like a multicolor card because of the transformation effect. So I'll briefly touch on that aspect in this video, but probably talk about it more in the multicolor. 2 mana for 0/1, but create a 2/1 green spider creature token with reach. So 2 for a 2/2, 2 for 2/2 worth of stats. Great rate. So already that's pretty good. And then if you transform it, knowing that these cards you can play as both sides. So if you already have the mana for the other card, then you don't need to worry about it. So we'll click on this. Sorry, I know the formatting is a little bit weird, but okay. So Amazing Spider-Man, Vigilance Reach for 4/4. And this costs for 1 green, white, blue. Each legendary spell you cast, that's 1 or more colors, has web sling. And there's actually a lot of legendary cards in this set. So if you can pair this with another crazy, legendary card and get the web slinging, then this is gonna really kick off. But again, synergies, right? Synergies are harder to pull off and limited. This should have been a commander card. Um, yeah, for what it's worth, right? It can be a commander card. You can make your own commander. Maybe I'll make my own commander deck. Um, but 4 with Vigilance Reach is very good rate. I think you want to be playing the 2 costs first to maximize that effect. But if you can pull off the web sling, I think it's gonna be good. I don't think it's gonna be fantastic. Fantastic Spider-Man. I don't know. But let's give this. I think if you can build around it, it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna give this a B minus. Actually. All right. So let's go back to white. Kind of closing off here. We're going to be looking at the different synergies later, probably with the multicolor decks. But especially if you look at, what each card has, right? So I think we have 3 removal spells. Excuse me. We have I think Sudden Strike. We have Mothwing, Shroud, Web Up, and we have Spectacular Tactics. So 3 removal spells. And then let's see how many web slinging spells. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll consider City Pigeon a web slinging card just because of how, this is literally is the definition of what web slinging wants to do. 4. So we'll say 4-ish web slinging in white. And then you have a lot of modifiers. So 1, 2, 3. Potentially 4 here with Aunt May. 5, Costume Closet. 6 with Silver Sable. That's not really. 7, Origin of Spider-Man. Guess? No? Potentially 8, I guess. Let's say 7. So 7 modifier cards. What did I say? 4 web slinging. So those numbers aren't, you don't need to really memorize them. I like to just keep in mind, like, what does white want to do? What are the removal? What are the combat tricks? And those things we'll all learn as we play along, but also gives you an idea of how powerful the color is. So 3 removal, right? And a few combat tricks, like 2 potential combat tricks and Spectacular Tactics, and what was it? The whip, I think. Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. And again, all this will be up for you to take if you want. And again, just the whole idea is make your own thoughts first, compare with other people, see how it works out, and then we all get better together. So look out for more of the colors in the coming days, and thanks for watching.